from Tokyo. This is Daisuke, and I hope all of you are doing very well today. I received a question from a viewer that I thought was very interesting, and it was this. Daisuke, do you have any film-related bucket list items? And what does this mean, bucket list items? So these are things that I want to do before I die. And I think when we talk about film-related bucket item lists, so these are things that I want to do before I die that in some way or another are related to film or cinema or movies. So I thought this was a very interesting question, and I thought, I might as well just answer the question in a video form. So if you don't mind, I apologize for this, for taking up your time like this, but let me just go over a number of bucket list items that that are film related that I really want to do before I die. So again, I'm not sure if I'll be able to achieve any of these, because some of these involve a bit of travel, and some of them I think also are very, 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 very expensive. And so I'm not sure if I'd be able to afford them in my lifetime. But it's always nice to dream. It's always nice to have a little kind of a fantasy, I suppose. And who knows? Maybe I'll win the lottery one of these days. But in the meantime, let me just give you a number here of bucket list items that are related to cinema. Okay, so the first one is I want to visit Monroeville Mall. Now, for those of you who don't know Monroeville Mall, so this is the mall that apparently the film Dawn of the Dead, directed by George A. Romero, this is the mall in which that film was set. So it's a real-life mall. It's called Monroeville Mall. And it's always been a dream of mine to visit the Monroeville Mall. I always wanted to go there. I used to live in the United States. I was there when I was a college student, for example. So I suppose I should have gone when I had the chance, but alas, I didn't go. So I'm regretting that choice to this day. I wish I had just taken the initiative and just traveled to the Monroeville Mall, but maybe one of these days I can save up some money and buy a plane ticket and go to the Monroeville Mall. I'm not sure if my wife and children would like to join me, but that would be really great, because it's such an iconic place. For those of you who know Dawn of the Dead, and I'm sure many of you do, it is the coolest place. It has the coolest layout. It's got that fountain, and of course I'm sure many of the stores that appeared in the film have long since been closed and replaced by others, so it's probably a new thing, and probably it's been changed. Maybe the layout has changed, I don't know, but just the feel of the place, just knowing that this was where George A. Romero stood here, or Tom Savini stood here as he did the thing with the machete or something. So just to have that connection with history, it would just, I think, send jolts of electricity through my body. So anyway, the Monroeville Mall. I'd love to visit that place one day. Next is I'd love to go to Rome. And I'd love to go to Rome. I've never been to Rome. In fact, I've never been to Italy. So I've been missing out. One of the places I've always wanted to go to Italy. And one of these days I really must try to go there. Maybe with my family. Well, certainly with my family. So, but I want to go to Rome. And in particular, I'd love to visit the store Profondo Rosso. The store is Profondo Rosso. Now, I understand this is owned by Dario Argento, and it's a movie horror memorabilia store, essentially. And it has its own website, and I think you can order through its online shop. But as far as I understand it, it also has props and actual memorabilia from Dario Argento's films, and I think that includes Deep Red or Profondo Rosso itself. So I would love to go to this store. Oh man, I'd love to go to the store. I hope it's still open, right? I understand it hasn't closed, right? Maybe those of you out there who are in Italy and who are Dario Argento fans, fans of, you know, the maestro, the man, have you been to the store? If so, oh man, I'd love to hear your stories about this. The Profondo Rosso store is one of the places I'd love to go. I think I'd just stay there all day and just look at it and just maybe just stand outside and just feel the energy from that place. But anyway, the Profondo Rosso store in Rome, I'd love to go there one of these days. Yes, so next is I would love to travel on the Orient Express, at least for one night. I'd love to do that. Now, there are a number of films that I love that have been set in whole or in part, in significant part in some cases, on the Orient Express. And so, for example, the film, you know, the James Bond film From Russia with Love, now, there is a really memorable set piece that happens on the Orient Express. And also there is the film Murder on the Orient Express with Albert Finney, directed by Sidney Lumet. Albert Finney as Hercule Poirot. Albert Finney as Hercule Poirot. My goodness, what great casting there. And that's not all. You'd also have the great actors, Lauren Bacall, Jacqueline Bisset, and Sean Connery, Anthony Perkins, John Gielgud, Wendy Hiller, Rachel Roberts, Jean-Pierre Cassel, and many others. Yes, it's great. Martin Balsam, yeah, and so many others. So it's Ingrid Bergman, yes. So it's a real powerhouse of a film, and I love that film so much. And hopefully one of these days I might talk about that film in better detail. But I really love that film, 1974, I want to say. I'm not a big fan of the remake or the new film with Kenneth Branagh. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was okay, but I'm not going to be rushing out to get the Blu-ray, for example. I saw it in the theater, and I think, for me anyway, I think once is enough. I like that Agatha Christie is getting the huge movie treatment again, but I admit that I'm a bigger fan of the 1974 version. Incidentally, of course, there's the great TV series Poirot. I think it's ITV, and this is starring, of course, the great David Suchet as Hercule Poirot. And one of the episodes is, in fact, Murder on the Orient Express with David Suchet as Poirot, and also an appearance by Jessica Chastain, if I recall, as Miss Debenham. So that is a very interesting film, TV film. Well, actually, let me save my comments about that, because I think I might be talking about the Poirot series very soon. But anyway, so what was I saying? Yes, of course, the Orient Express. I would love to ride on the Orient Express for maybe a day or something. I have a dear friend of mine who is in Tokyo, and he actually rode on the Orient Express, and he is, I think he's the same age as I, and so I'm incredibly jealous that he was able to ride on the Orient Express, and he told me that it was a grand old time. So yes, the Orient Express is another one of my film-related bucket list items. Next is, yes, of course, I would love to visit the Ghibli Museum. Now, I live in Tokyo, and the Studio Ghibli Museum is very close to Tokyo, and so I could probably go fairly easily. At least, it's probably not going to be so difficult for me. I think you have to make a reservation, but I really should go. I should really take my kids there. I just haven't had the time, unfortunately, and things have been busy with my children and school and all that. So unfortunately, we haven't had the time. But maybe one day I'd like to do that. In fact, perhaps on this list of bucket list items, that's probably the one item that is easiest for me to achieve. But the Studio Ghibli Museum would be great. You know, I understand that there are sometimes little short films that are shown at the museum that I think are not available elsewhere. So I think Miyazaki makes, and the rest of the Ghibli team, they make animation shorts especially for the museum and not to be shown elsewhere. And of course there's the whole experience of being there, and you see the world that they created, and it's in nature, and you see the expressions of the characters and all that. And of course Ghibli, that's another one of those films that I hope to be talking about very soon. And hopefully, yes, that will be something that you might be interested in. But as I don't want to talk too much about it now. But yes, so the Ghibli Museum. I think my wife's sister, in fact, went there. She went there with her child, and so and they enjoyed it very much. So that would be one that I really want to go to, the Ghibli Museum. Next is, I would love to go to San Francisco. And I've never been to San Francisco. I really want to go to San Francisco, and I want to go on the Vertigo Tour. You know, the Vertigo Tour, well, I don't know if it's a tour, but I think there are tours that are centered around the film Vertigo, 1958, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring James Stewart and Kim Novak. Music by Bernard Herrmann, conducted by Mira Matheson. So this is, for me, this is my favorite film ever. I love Vertigo. One of these days, I hope I get the chance to talk about Vertigo in a video. I'd love to talk about that film. And it's a film that I watch regularly. I watch it once a month, and I can't imagine my life without that film. And I think without that film, I would be a completely different human being. It's so important to me, and I can't explain it. It's something quite inexplicable about that, because I think about it a lot, and the more I think about it, the more I realize how odd the story is. It's a very odd story in terms of its narrative. So I'm so amazed and struck by how much I love that film. And because of that, I would so much love to go to San Francisco and go to the various points that are shown in the film. You know, mostly in San Francisco, although there are some places that are outside of the city. But there's also the Golden Gate Park and Coit Tower and Portals of the Past. And I don't know if it's, gosh, I really don't. Maybe if you know if in San Francisco. Is Ernie's there? Maybe it's not there anymore, but the building is there. I don't know, but I hope it's there. And just so many other places I'd love to go and just relive those moments, or not relive, but just to experience the thrill of being in the place where these moments were shot. And gosh, I'd love to go on the Vertigo Tour. And oh man, I hope. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ernie's is not there anymore. Maybe it's gone. But even if it's not there anymore, you know, how does what does Kim Novak say? You know, after all, it's our place. So it always exists in my memory, I suppose. But anyway, the Vertigo Tour in San Francisco. I'd love to do that one of these days. Who knows? Maybe I'll be able to do that soon. I hope. Fingers crossed. Okay. So let me give you a couple more, and I'll call it a day. So another one I'd love to do is, it's a little bit different, but I would love to attend a concert that is of Philip Glass music, and in particular the Philip Glass music for the film Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters. Now, the film is called Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters, and this is from 1985, directed by Paul Schrader. And this is in the Criterion Collection, in case you're interested. And it's on a lovely Blu-ray. It's so great. It's got that great, eye-catching gold cover, and the pink and the yellow. It's such a clash. It's wonderful. And the set design, it's got great design. Eiko Ishioka's work is stellar there, and the main performance by Ken Ogata is one of a kind, brilliant. And I love that film. And the music is by Philip Glass. And this is, I remember I saw this film when I was very young. I think I saw it on a VHS tape that my mom got at a flea market sale in New Canaan, Connecticut, I think. And it was that thick, it was red, and it had the face of Mishima, Ken Ogata's Mishima, and it had Mishima in that font, you know, that kind of blood, written in blood kind of font. And it had that, was it clamshell type of VHS casing. It's kind of soft. It had that kind of soft nature to it. And I saw that, and I remember that was the first time I heard Philip Glass. I had no idea who Philip Glass was. I was just a kid watching it. And I heard this music for the first time, and it just blew me away. And it was my first exposure to the world and to the lovely brilliance and the shining light that is the music of Philip Glass. And ever since then, I was hooked on the works of Philip Glass. I tried to get as much as I could. I got the greatest hits double CD. I remember listening to that ad nauseum. Oh gosh, man, I haven't heard that song in a long time, but do you know the song Changing Opinion? Oh man, I never understood what it meant, but it was always, what is it, that line, you know, gradually we became aware of a hum in the room. It went, And then from there I went to, I found a copy of Einstein on the Beach, you know, the huge CD set, and then the other, the portrait operas. Yeah, it was great, and Einstein on the Beach just, you know, melted my brain. And I remember, in fact, I was able to, I saw Philip Glass in concert live only once, and this was in New York. And I remember my mom took me there, you know, bless her. She's no longer with us now, but she was such a lovely woman. And one of the things she did, she encouraged me, and she encouraged my interest. And one of the things she did to do so was to take me to Philip Glass. And we saw Philip Glass play, and I remember he played Mad Rush, and that was such a thrill for me. And he played the spaceship from Einstein on the Beach, and if you know that piece, it has a little bit where it goes da 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 at the end. And I remember people clapped when they shouldn't have, because it wasn't the end. And I remember I felt so proud of myself, because I knew you shouldn't clap there, but there are some people who clapped at the end, and they didn't realize that there was a little bit more to go. But I mention this because I love the music from Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters. That score is astounding. I had to buy more than one CD of that, because I remember I bought the CD when I was a kid, and I just played it over and over again. The case was smashed because I brought it along with me, and I played it on my little Discman when they were in fashion, in vogue. Just listened to it over and over again. It just gave me this huge rush buzz. It always reminded me of that time when I first discovered Mishima, Life in Four Chapters, and I first discovered the music of Philip Glass. And even now, to this day, one of the things I love to do is I love to do searches on iTunes, and I love to do searches of not just the Philip Glass scores, but also covers of Philip Glass music. And I hear, one of the things I love to hear covers of the Mishima soundtrack in particular, and also the work Mad Rush. I love Mad Rush. I think, I think that has to be on my list of things that I want to listen to. You know, the last things I want to listen to before I die, one of the works I want to listen to is Mad Rush. I love that so much. But I'm sorry. I'm just going all over the place, so I apologize. So one of my bucket list items is to listen to the music of Philip Glass score Mishima, Life in Four Chapters, live in concert. It would be great if Philip Glass performed it, but he doesn't have to. Anyone, if it's someone who appreciates that music, I'd love to hear that music live and just to feel the vibrations in the air and just feel it and just feel the chills, and then I can hear it and I can recall the scenes that occur, and to hear the wonderful drum beats in the beginning, and then to leave it with the wonderful closing theme. Oh, I'd love to hear that live. You know, I've never heard that music live. I'd love to hear that live. I think that would make my day just exponentially. I would be just over the moon if I could hear that. One of these days, perhaps. Maybe if there's a concert. Who knows? Anyway, another bucket list item is to attend a concert that plays the works of Philip Glass, and in particular Mishima, Life in Four Chapters. Actually, there are others. There are other bucket list items, excuse me, that I would love to talk about. But maybe I'll do that in another video. In the meantime, my friends, let me end it there. It is getting late where I am, so I should be getting to bed very soon. So I apologize for having to leave so early. But in the meantime, maybe do you have some bucket list items, film-related bucket list items that you are thinking of? Or just to be more general about, what are some of the things that you want to do? What are the things that you want to explore that are related to cinema? You know, are there places that you want to go that are reminiscent of your favorite movies? Are there things that you want to experience, certain activities you want to undergo that you want to do because you saw that was something that is in one of your favorite movies? I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and comments and ideas, and who knows, maybe my own bucket list will grow after I hear what you have to say. Okay, my friends, let me leave it at that, and again, I hope you are happy and healthy and well, and that you keep on watching a lot of great movies. Until we meet again, my friends, please be happy, please be safe, and cheers.